Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel where today we are talking about the books that I DNF'd in the month of May, the books that I did not finish. There were 3 books this month, which is a little bit higher than I normally get, and that's why there is a separate video this time. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And the very first book that I DNF'd in the month of May was Steelheart by Sanderson. So in this book, a calamity something has showed up in the sky, and a year after that happens, people start having superpowers, and it turns out everybody superpowered is a villain, which is a problem, obviously. Now, our main character of David, his dad was killed by one of these villains, and so now he wants to try to join up with the Reckoners, who are the only people who fight back against these villains, and try to exact his revenge on them. I DNF'd this at page 50. It was not good. Now, my first problem has to do with that world building aspect, that only villains end up with superpowers. Now, I understand that there's probably a reason. Either the calamity is controlling their minds, or it only specifically sought out people who would turn villainous or something. And it's probably a reveal in book 2 or something like that. But nobody in this world seemed to question the fact that everybody is a villain. The closest we got was David's dad, who said he was waiting for the superheroes. But nobody was like, okay, what is going on? Why is everybody villainous? So I did not appreciate that. Our main character of David, I found to be super annoying to read. And then when a female character finally showed up, she was an object of lust for David. All we know about her really is that she is hot and she really knows how to handle weapons, because that's all he can think about her. And as a side note, by the way, Sanderson wrote that she was wearing a very thin dress with a plunging neckline, but somehow she was able to conceal tank tops and bike shorts underneath it. And I'm sitting here going, that's not how that works. So either you have different clothes in mind than what you're kind of describing, or you don't know how women's clothes work. So that was annoying too. I actually did end up looking up reviews to see if Megan, this female character, became anything more than a love interest. And no, and there's only one other character that's really in this that's female, and she's just a side note character. So I don't like that. And then the other annoying part is that the cussing in this. So in this world, they have made up their own cuss words. I actually understand that. However, the cuss words they use are nonsensical in the sense that cuss words fulfill some very specific purposes. It's a release of emotional tension, and the big test is if you can't yell it when you stub your toe, if it doesn't roll off the tongue when you stub your toe, then it's probably not a good cuss word. And of course I am speaking of English, by the way. I don't know for anything else, but there's the hard consonants, and it just rolls that's what a cuss word needs to be. And they use cuss words like calamity and sparks and schlons, something like that. And I'm just none of those are good. None of those release that emotional tension like you need a good cuss word to do. So as I'm sitting here analyzing this, of course I'm getting irritated. I can't just let it be, because I'm just you sound so dumb saying calamity. And so I did look up reviews. I kind of figured out where this book was headed, and I found out I just didn't care. And so I DNF'd it at page 50. After that, I did DNF Dark Swan by Gena Showalter. This is a novella set in the Otherworld Assassins paranormal romance trilogy. This is following our main character of Lilica, who is an amalgamation of a bunch of different alien races, and Dallas, who is trying to use her to draw out her sister, who is actually becoming a bit of a problem for people, accidentally killing them and that kind of thing. And this is actually really interesting. It's only 160 pages. And the very first part, the paranormal storyline was actually very strong and very enjoyable, and I liked it. It was good. And then it very quickly devolved into just a bunch of thoughts about sex from both of them. And like, I really, really struggled with this because it was like, it wasn't even the stray thought or like half the time they're thinking about it. It was like 90% of the time they are thinking about how much they want to bang each other. And I was like, this is not enjoyable, guys. This is not enjoyable to read. And so I didn't really like it. And then the thing that sealed its fate, where I ended up DNFing it, is that they start kissing and it's rough and there's blood involved, and then like Lilica gets a taste of blood and then has this instinct to do these things, which she then does, which then creates this bond. And it's not that the bond is fully in place. They actually have to consummate it for it to be fully in place. But it's one of those things where it's magically driven. So once this process is started, like the magic kind of messes with you. So all you want to do is consummate the bond. And so it's just like, great. So all they're going to be thinking about for the remainder of the book is how much they want to have sex with each other. Great. And then I thought about, and then I realized that once it's consummated, this bond is for life. You do not get another choice. The only way to break it is through death. And that is not something that I actually like from my romance. I like for there to be an out, basically. I like for there to be the threat of divorce. Why? Because I like when characters have that option and choose to work with each other. They choose love. They choose the hard path to coming back together. That's what I appreciate. And so to be forced into this situation where you do not get a choice anymore is not my deal. And the fact that it never really felt like they had a choice. They were never clear-minded enough to choose each other. And so I just was like, oh, this is not for me. I wasn't loving it anyway, but this part of it is a trope that is not for me. And so I did DNF it at the halfway mark. And then the last book that I DNF'd this month is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This book, I was worried that this was going to be a DNF, and I was proven right. But in this book, we are following our main character of Agnieszka. And Agnieszka lives in a small village in a valley of other small villages that is next to an enchanted wood. And there is a wizard who lives nearby who protects all these villages from this enchanted wood. And the only thing that he asks is that every 10 years, he gets to pick out a 17-year-old girl who comes and lives with him to basically be his servant. And so Agnieszka has been very worried about this day because she just knows that her best friend is going to be chosen. Her best friend's amazing. Of course, the wizard's going to choose her. And then the wizard chooses Agnieszka. Now, let's start with the fact that this guy is like more than 100 years old, and he's choosing 17-year-old girls. And it is specifically 17-year-old girls. And I'm like, oh, that gives me slightly icky feelings. Okay. And then Agnieszka as a character, I don't like her. She is so clumsy to the point of not being believable. So, like, I've known some really incredibly awkward, clumsy people in my life, and they don't even touch how clumsy she is. And then, of course, in the first book, because she's in shock, she doesn't put puzzle pieces together that are fairly obvious. And while I find that annoying, I do forgive it because she is in shock. She was not expecting this. It was still not great to read. And then the wizard is a jerk. Now, he is such a jerk that it actually tests my limit of being able to talk about this story without cussing, which I do try to do. He's mean. He is so mean to Agnieszka. Now later, like, this book is first person, and later we do find out that she was interpreting his emotions incorrectly. She didn't understand what was going on. Like, there was other stuff happening underneath the surface. But the things that he's saying are so mean that there is no excuse. It doesn't matter. There is no justification for how mean he is to her. And it's very unpleasant to read, I found. So, and especially because he's supposed to end up being the love interest, which he's 100 years old and he's mean. And I'm like, done. So I was already leaning towards DNFing this. And then there was an attempted rape. And it wasn't the wizard, but when Agnieszka did fight back, and she beat him over the head with a silver platter, and then the wizard just to seal how much I don't like the wizard, by the way. The wizard walks in and is basically just like, and now I have to clean up this mess too? I was like, done. Absolutely done. I am not a huge fan of attempted rape in books anyway. And it is. There are some people who have definitely argued that it's not, consent was not given, and she fought back, which is very clear. There is no consent. That is attempted rape. So like, not okay. And I'm not okay with it. So I decided to go ahead and just put it down. Now this is very sad because in the beginning with the writing style really drew me in, which I know I like Naomi Novik's writing style because I've read a couple of the books in the Temeraire series. I didn't continue because that series really just wasn't for me. But I found the same thing happening here where I really liked the writing style. I couldn't do this particular story. So I probably will read other books by Naomi Novik, but this is a huge miss for me. So I DNF'd it at like 53, I think. So there you go, you guys. Those are all the books that I DNF'd in the month of May. Let me know down below if you agree with my sentiments or if you think I should be giving one of these books another shot. Please let me know down below. But that's it, you guys. So until next time, have happy reading and I will see you in the next video. Bye.